Right, I'm going to get started. Okay, right. So I have a few basics that I want to teach you, but before I start, I was just wondering if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask of something in particular that they would like to learn. So that way I can cover something that you think is going to be useful for you. Okay, right. One second. I'm just going to share my Facebook Live because someone's struggling to get on. So, right. Okay, I'm going to do that. Right. Okay, I'm going to just start the basics. Right. Okay, so what I wanted to do is give you an overview. Was someone going to say something? Okay, so I'm just going to give you an overview. Can you type a 1 if you've ever used Canva before, and a 2 if you don't know anything whatsoever about Canva? Cool. Okay, that's good. Right. Okay. So my apologies if I'm going over some basics, but I'm going to get started. So right. And what I'm also going to do is send you a couple of links that I hope you're going to find useful. So I use the I use the paid version of Canva. So just in case you find that there's some features that you don't have, I'm going to send you a link which lets you register. And so if you decide that you're going to use the paid version at any point, I will not complain one bit if you decide to use my referral link. And I'm also going to send you another link. And this one is, let's just say that you don't have the paid version of it and you want to do a little bit of image manipulation. This is quite useful. So I'm sending that in the chat for you as well. So let me just send that to you. Okay. So if you make a note of that, you're probably going to find it quite useful at some point. And also, just in case any of you is on Facebook, I'm just going to send you a link. So if you want to put that on your Facebook Live, that's the link that you would use in case you've got any friends of yours that might want to take a look at this later. So that's the third one that I'm sending for you. Okay, so that should have us all covered. Right, okay, so we've got another person in the room now as well. Okay, so that's cool. Right, okay, so I'm going to go right to the basics. So any of you who knows your way around Canva, please forgive me. So what I'm going to do is, and one thing I love about Canva is that you can mix it up into lots of different projects. So you can have, for example, an Instagram folder, a Facebook folder, a YouTube folder, etc. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the home page, and you will see here that you've got some of the projects that I've started. And if you're more organized than me, you may have put it, you can create folders and you can put everything in a manner that's good for you. For example, face pictures, etc., etc. So if I just go into one of them, and we'll get started on that. So again, like I said, I want to go over to cover a couple of basics. So one thing is that if you're manipulating images, you can copy images from the internet. And I wanted to explain the difference between two different file formats. Can you type a 1 if you know the difference between a PNG and a JPEG file? And if you put a 2, if you don't know the difference between the two. Cool, that's awesome. Right, so for those of you who don't know the difference, I'm going to give you an example. So let's just say that you've got some images that you want to copy from the internet and use it for part of the design of something that you're trying to do. So I'm going to give you an example of, for example, let's just say that you've got the Instagram logo. So you might do a Google search and type Instagram logo, and you get all these pictures that appear here, and you might right click it to copy it, and then you can paste it directly into your Canva. And what you will see here, you will see that the images look different on each one. So you see this one, you've got like the logo within a square, and this one you've got the logo by itself. But you notice that the logo looks a bit different because it's taken the color of the background of the background that I have for this template. So if I click on the background and make it white, you see that it now looks different. And the reason for that is because if you have a PNG file, it has the ability to make part of the image transparent. Whereas with a JPEG file, it's just a fixed image and you're stuck with whatever you get. And one way of sometimes defining the difference is when you do an online search and you click on an image. Now, if you were to look closely, you see on this image that I've highlighted, you see that there's all these tiny squares, and that represents a transparent layer. So that tells you that this is going to be a PNG file. And if you look at the bottom there, you see that it's a PNG. And that's why when you look at this image here, you've got that transparency there. So if I show you that again, if I change the background to another color, you see that the PNG file with the transparent background, that's now black at the back. And then the JPEG file is still exactly the same. But let's just say that you've got a JPEG file and you don't know how to, let's just say that you're trying to find a file and you can't find a PNG version and all you've got is a JPEG and you want to make it transparent. So what you can do with it is if I highlight the picture and I can click on edit photo over here, and you see here, and now this is one of the features that you might not get on the free version. So if I click on that, and you see that the image is transformed, but it doesn't look right. And that's one of the disadvantages of some JPEG files. But what I can do to it is if I click on it again, and bear in mind that I'm using the Pro version, you see that I can fine tune what is erased and what is restored. So if I click on restore here, and you see that I can basically bring the color back, bring the image back into it. Now, depending on the type of image, that might take ages, but I can still customize it. So if I make this circle bigger, I can restore it like that. And then that way, all of a sudden, I've got, let me just do that bit there. Don't need to do it perfectly, it's just to give an example. And if I go back, that JPEG now, has the background stuff which disappeared before. So that's just giving you a bit of an example. But let's just say I pick something a bit more interesting. So if I get rid of those, actually, does anyone have any questions at this stage before I jump onto something else? Feel free to unmute yourself, or you can just ask in the chat. Okay, that's cool. Right, so let's just say that you've got something, let's just say you've got a photograph of yourself. So if you go to the left and I click on uploads, I can look at images and videos and even audio that I have uploaded to Canva. So you see that even though I didn't go directly to the PC and upload it, the fact that I pasted it, it remembers the things that I've pasted onto my Canva, and it's got those as the most recent images. But let's just say I scroll down and I look at, say, let's just say I've got this photograph here. And I want to use the image of this person on a flyer, but I don't want to have the background. So I can do exactly the same thing. So I highlight the image and I can go to edit photo. I click on the tool here and you see that the background has gone. Now, but if you look closely, you can see that this, just by his ear, that doesn't look quite right. So if I click on that again, I can fine tune it. Now you see the circle's too big at the moment. So I can make it tiny here. And then if I click on, actually, I should be doing erase, yeah. And I can just use the tiny dot to get rid of those things there. So when I go back to it, I get that back. So that's one of the tricks that you can do. And another nice little trick that I like on Canva.
Hi, Albert.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. I think there's some people from the Wealth Club to watch the Zoom on your Facebook, but it's saying that it's not playing for them or it's not connecting. So,
right. Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second. Let me find my Facebook.
If you have the link to send to them on the chat.
Yeah. I'd say save that. All of you save that. And you see why in a minute.
Are you sharing the screen? Because we're not seeing what you're talking about.
Okay, sorry, 1 second. Let me get that back.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, cool.
Right, okay, that's cool. Right, okay, so what I wanted to show you is a common thing that people would do is they might have a photograph that they would upload and then edit to maybe use on a flyer. So on the left side of Canva, you will see something that is your uploads. And for the uploads, you will have images, videos, and audio that can be uploaded to Canva. So let's just say that you're trying to do something like this image here on the left. So what you would do, you would have the photograph that you would have uploaded to your computer. I'm using a Windows computer. And let's just say I click on that photo and that will appear here. And once you've selected it, you go to the edit photo section and you have this pro version here, which automatically removes the background. Now, depending on the image, that may work smoothly or it might not work as smoothly as you would like. So for example, if I expand that, if you look, you will see that there's a little bit of white here, which hasn't quite worked. So when you do the image, the background removal, it's not always perfect depending on the type of image that you're using. So I can go back into it and I've got this thing here, which I can use to edit. So for example, I can do like restore or I can do delete. So if I want to, if I want to edit it so that I get rid of that little white area, I can reduce the size of the circle and I can fine tune what I'm editing. So I can just click on it or drag it to change that slight imperfection. So then if I go back now, you're not going to see that white mark. Obviously, you know, if I wasn't rushing, it'd be a bit better, but that's just to give you a little example. And one thing I was explaining earlier was the difference between, and I'm just going to say it really, really quickly, the difference between, so those who have just joined the room, do you all know the difference between a JPEG and a PNG picture? If you do a 1, if you know the difference, and a 2, if you don't know the difference. Okay, so I just showed the difference quickly. So basically, the difference between a JPEG and a PNG file is when you do an image search on the internet, when you highlight the picture, a PNG file, if you look, you will see that there's all these tiny squares around the image. And that shows that it has what's called a transparency layer. Whereas if you have a normal JPEG file, you see that there's no tiny squares represented a transparency. Now, what does that mean? So let's just say I copy an ordinary JPEG file. So if I just do copy, and then I paste it into Canva. And then if I go to the PNG one, which one was it? I think it was this one. So if I copy and then paste it into Canva, you see that there's a difference between the two. Now, the difference is, you see where where's it gone? You see with this one, you're not seeing any of the white area, and that's because it's a PNG file. So, for example, that makes it easier to add it to another image, where with this one, you would have to play around a bit more in order to get it looking how you want it to look. So what would I do if I've got a JPEG file? So I would highlight it, edit photo, go to the transparency bit again. And you see here, it doesn't always work perfectly if you're not using a PNG file and you're using a JPEG. But what I can do, I can go to the transparency. I can play around with this circle size. And that's delete. So if I click on restore, I can play around a bit and make it look how I want it to look. Okay, and I can also, if I wanted to, if I click on this toggle here, I can show the actual background to make it easier for me. And you'll see that although it's invisible, you see that it's got tiny squares. So that shows you what the image looks like elsewhere. And then once I've finished, if I click on background, then you've got that image there. So that kind of like shows you the difference between a PNG file and a JPEG file. So when you're doing a search, you might type PNG, or you might type JPEG. And then that helps you with that process. Has anyone got any questions about that stage? Okay, so I'll show you another trick. Right, so another thing that I quite like doing is, let's just say that you've got some kind of video that you've uploaded to Canva. And you can do various things with it. So let's just say I pick one of these videos here. Let's just say, okay, I just pick a random one. So this is close to where I work. So let's just say you've uploaded a video, but you don't want all of it to be on your Instagram download. And one thing to bear in mind, I'm sure most of you know, when you do a reel, if it's too long, people get bored and they don't watch the whole thing. So it's normally good to edit it to be normally anything from, say, 10 seconds to 30 seconds ideally, or up to a couple of minutes, but basically the shorter the better, and that's how you keep it interesting. So let's just say you've uploaded a video. So what will happen is that, let's just say I maximize it, or I can reduce the size, whatever I want to do. Now I highlight the video, and you see here, you've got the scissors. So I can click on the scissors, and you see here, it shows the full length of the video. Now, maybe there's a part of the video that I like, and I just want that tiny little snippet. So I can pause it, and I can select the part of the video that I want to run and just make it this bit here. Now, but it could be that there's two sections of the video that I want, but I want to split them and separate them for whatever reason. So what I would do then is, so let's just say I like this part of the video. I would on Canva, you've got the option to, where is it? Duplicate the page. So I can duplicate it. So now I've got an identical section of the video. So I know that because you see it's got the same part of the video highlighted. But for the second one, maybe I want to show a different part. So I would shift that part of it there and then drag it across. And then depending on what I want to use, I can edit which part of the video is selected. Okay. Has anyone got any questions? Because I don't want to go too fast in case anyone has any questions. Anyone got any questions about that?
Nah, yeah. To be fair, you're doing a good job. But with the thing with this, yeah, it's all about implementing in it. This is
Okay,
just
so I
a
just
quick little
continue.
wrinkle.
There's loads of things that I can show you, so I don't want to go too deep into it and then overwhelm you with too much information. So that's one thing that you can do. Now, let's just say that you want to put that video on something, but you don't want the sound. So I could highlight that video. And then here, I could get rid of the sound, or I can make it low. And then that way, if I then transfer it over to Instagram or something, I don't have any sound from this video to get in the way of whatever it is that I'm doing. So that's another trick that you can do. And another one of my favorite things that I like doing is, let's just say I want to do something fancy. For example, make something look like it's a video playing on a mobile phone. So if I just restore that. So let's just say, right, let's just say I look on the internet and I find a template that I can use to make it look like the video is playing on the mobile phone. So let's just say I pick, for example, this one. So I would then copy that. And I can do a new page. I can paste it into here. Now you see in this instance, it's not a proper transparency because I've got all that background stuff. So what I can do is highlight it, go to edit photo, click on the background remover. Now you see that's not really a tidy one. So actually, but you see what I mean from other things I've done. So rather than waste time, I'm going to select one that I've done in the past. So I'm going to go to my library. And if I go to, this is one I've done in the past. So, because what you can do, you can go between sheets. So I'm going to copy this one. So if I copy that one, and if I, where is it? And I paste it into here. So that's, oh, no, that's not the right one. Okay, so 1 second. Copy. Right, okay. So let's just say I've got one that's a decent background. So what I can do, I can drag this video onto that, but obviously that video is too big and it's on top of that phone template. So what I can do is I can adjust the size. So if you bear with me, I can adjust the size to be the same, to be within the boundaries of it. So if I just, 1 second, I can adjust it to be within the boundaries of it. But you see that the image is on top of the mobile phone frame. So bear with me. I'm not going to do it perfect because I don't want to waste people's time too much. So let's just say I want that one. And then what I can do is if I click the mouse on the video, here I've got something that says position. So I can click on that position and I can click on backwards. And by clicking on backwards, it makes it behind that mobile phone template. So that's one of the tricks that I do with some of my some of my Instagram posts. Before I show you anything else, has anyone got any questions? Okay, so I'll just carry on. Let me just see. Right, so another thing that I can do as well to make my post look quite cool, let's just say I get rid of that one. I can add another page. And if I go to another photo, go to images. So let's just say I've got this photo here and I want to make it look like that this person is on a t-shirt, for example. So I can adjust the size. And this is one of the other cool tools that you've got. So if I highlight that and click on edit photo, and where do I go? So, okay, you've got this thing here called mockups. So with mockups, you can have these kind of professional backgrounds that you can use to make something look really smart. So for example, I could have, let's just say that you're someone who sells clothes online and things like that, and you want to show an example of what your designs look like, or even test what your designs look like. So if I click on that one, and if I just moved out of the way, okay, and then I can just drag this into here. And you see that it makes it look like a t-shirt design. So you can mess around with that as well. Okay. And one of the things that I sometimes do is, if I get rid of that, one of my favorite ones is to make it look like someone's holding a mobile phone. So let's just say I didn't do the one that I did last time. So if I can open that. And I can make it look like the image is inside someone's mobile phone. So there's all these kind of things that you can do. Now, on a more basic level, one thing that I wanted to show you is, let's just say, for example, let's just say that I wanted to use this picture again. Now, this is quite a cool trick that I use sometimes because this allows you to customize much better. So let's just say I want to use this again and I want to get rid of the background. So I get rid of the background again, but maybe I don't like this blue background. So, and maybe there's, for example, maybe I want to use this color and I want exactly that color, not close to it, but exactly that color. So what I would do is I could go to, within Canva, there's a way of doing it, but let's just say you don't have the paid version. So the reason I gave you this link, I can go to this free website and I can drag something across. So bear with me 1 second. I can find that picture. Okay, there it is, yeah. Right, okay, so is that picture gone? Bear with me 1 second. Oh, come on. I think it's been a little bit slow. Let me refresh that page. Okay. Okay, right, so I've got the image. So let's just say I want exactly that shade of yellow. So I would highlight that area of the image. And you see here, you've got this code down here. So what I would do, I would copy that code, go back to my Canva. Okay, if I go back to that image, I can resize that. And if I go to background, click on this kind of like paint thing over here, click on the plus sign, and then if I paste that code in there, that gives me exactly the color that I want. And that's one of the things that you can use to customize or copy the theme of another flyer. And that's how you would do something like that. So yeah, so I think I don't want to overwhelm with too much information. So I think that's all I will show today, but let me just show you something else. So let's just say you wanted to download this. One of the things you can do when you share, and this is one of the reasons I like the paid version, you can either download it or you can share it directly to social media. So if you're only doing a couple of posts every now and then, it doesn't matter too much. But if you're at the point where you're posting loads of content, it's really cool that you can post directly to social media and you can actually schedule it to post tomorrow or something like that. So that's one of the cool things that I like about this. The only downside is that unless I haven't discovered how to do it yet, when you copy to social media, you're not going to have the music library that you have in Instagram and TikTok. So you're only going to have the music that's on there. So if you want to add some music, you may have to do a couple of other stages. But if you're not going to add any more sound audio to it, that's not from here, then you can basically use whatever you've got from here, post it direct to social media. And or for example, if you're just sending it directly, you can click on download and then you select whichever pages within this that you want to select to download. So yeah, so I don't want to do too much today because it'd be too much information, but yeah, does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask me?